Hello, everyone. Welcome to the November 23rd meeting of the Waynesboro Area School District Board of Directors. We will do we're not going to have the pledge today, obviously, but we will have a roll call since we're all on Zoom and at least one can't be seen. So go ahead, Mrs. Kuzer, let's do a roll call.
Okay. Mrs. Miles,
Here.
Mrs. Zimmerman,
Here.
Mr. McDonald,
Here.
Mrs. Bakedel,
Here.
Mrs. Sullivan,
Here.
Dr. Royer,
Here.
Mrs. Strite,
Here.
Mr. Wenger,
Here.
Mrs. Harold.
Here. Thank you. Okay, I understand there are no changes to the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda for this evening?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes. Hopefully everybody took a look. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Superintendent Report, Dr. Klein.
Okay, Mrs. Harold, I just have a note here that currently we have 27 students that are positive with COVID right now over the last couple of weeks. So it has slowed down. There's a little bit of a spike again at the middle school, but it has slowed down. Currently, again, with staff, we have 0 cases. So staff's been pretty healthy over there as far as COVID's concerned. So that's my update.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and now for public comment. This meeting, by the way, was intended to be a short one. Based on our agenda, it will be. We have to approve a couple things in personnel and contracts, and then a couple facilities items. And when we do this Zoom meeting, public comment has to be submitted in writing. And we did get one that I'll be reading tonight. Also, for anybody watching, you may recall that we did pass a policy concerning public comment that will go into effect our next meeting on December the 7th. So if anybody wishes to do public comment, I would like you to please check that out and see what's in store for the new public comment. Okay, so for tonight then, our one public comment is from Kelsey Rosenberry, who lives at 7302 Slaptown Road in Waynesboro. On Wednesday, November 17th, my daughter, 6 years old, first grader at Mallory Elementary, was mistakenly put on the bus by her teacher. My daughter is part of the after-school program, which results in her father or I picking her up each day. The bus driver then brought my daughter off to our empty, locked home with no cars in the driveway. My 6-year-old daughter stood on the porch alone, crying for 45 minutes. By the grace of God, someone we knew drove by and was immediately concerned and turned around to check on her. I then received the call that any parent would fear. My question to the school board is, how can an elementary school student so young be dropped off by themselves without a parent in sight? My daughter could have been killed, kidnapped, anything could have happened. These protocols need to be changed. My child was failed by not only 2 teachers at Mallory, but then the bus driver. I have spoken to the principal, business administrator, as well as the assistant superintendent. The only thing I've been told is how sorry they are that this has happened and that it won't happen again. How do I know this? How do I have assurance that my child will be safe in the hands of these adults while I am at work? This is not okay. I am demanding new protocols with the transportation department as far as leaving children at a home where there is no parent visible. They should be taken back to the school. I expect a resolution to this issue before another family has to go through this traumatizing experience. And the board is aware of this. Of course, we are very sorry that this happened. I don't know that it's happened, at least in the 6 years I've been on the board before. It has been recommended that the policy committee take a look at this, and I know that they will be. I talked to the chairman of the policy committee today. So this will be looked at in policy, and any changes that would occur would certainly be made known to everyone. Okay, thank you for that. And now that's the only public comment we have. So now on to board reports. Anybody have anything?
Well, I'll jump in behalf of Facilities Committee. We met last Monday and went over quite a number of things. Four of them tonight are on our agenda, items 4 through 7 in the business section. We'll talk more about them when we get there, but know that these all come recommended by the Facilities Committee. And Mr. Adams and Mr. Holtzman did a great job of looking through all the aspects of these. So we did approve these and are bringing them to you tonight.
Okay, thank you. Any other board reports? Okay, if not, our school board rep is not with us tonight, so we will move to that into business. Dr. Sternerheim, personnel.
Thank you, Mrs. Harold. I'd like to direct your attention to several personnel items in the board docs. First listing, we have resignation of administrative staff, resignation of support staff, resignation of additional support staff, administrative stipend, appointments of support staff. And as we continue, resignation of administrative staff, appointments of coaching staff, appointments of additional support staff, as well as appointments of substitute support staff. In addition, we have several recommendations for professional staff appointments. We have Stephanie Kelly, Clara Purcell, Derek Becker, Diana Carey, and Eric Krinks. In addition, we do have a listing of leaves. Recommendation is to approve as listed.
We have motion to approve.
So
Move
moved.
to approve.
Second.
Okay, any questions for Dr. Sternerheim? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Bus drivers, Mr. Holtzman.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your discussion and action. We have one driver for Hvac Myers listed on the agenda. They've met the criteria for being a driver as well as all of the appropriate background checks. So we're asking for your approval.
Motion,
Move to approve.
Second.
thank you. Questions for Mr. Holtzman? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
job descriptions. Is that you, Dr. Sternerheim?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Harold. Within the board docs, you have 3 job descriptions for your approval. It's the reintroduction of the Strive program, which will be an after-school component. We're looking for behavior monitor as well as a coordinator to meet the needs of students who are perhaps policy violators, and it would be a way to meet their academic as well as social emotional needs in an after-school format. In addition, we have another job description, an elementary behavioral health technician, which is essentially a individual that we would hire to assist with some elementary related social emotional health concerns, as well as overall behavioral coaching for elementary learners. So the recommendation to approve those job postings as listed in order to post for the possibility of filling those positions. In these 3 cases, all 3 of these positions would be filled with ESSER funding.
Okay, move to approve. Anyone? Motion?
Second.
Thank you. Questions for Dr. Sternerheim? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, now we're on to some of the facilities items. Sounds like
What is that?
somebody's playing a piano. that is. If anybody else can hear that. Anyway, the facilities items, the first one concerns Mallory cafeteria tables. Mr. Holtzman, are you doing those?
Yes, ma'am, if that's all right.
Sure.
And of course, if anybody from the facilities committee or the chair with Mr. Wenger, if they need to jump in, please feel free. My apology, that always happens at the wrong time, doesn't it? So the first item is Mallory tables. And what this is these are 15 tables that we're looking to essentially replace the existing tables. Historically, we've always tried to beg, borrow, use cafeteria tables. The unfortunate part is these tables that currently exist in that building are quite old. The cylinders cannot be replaced. And now we're starting to incur some injuries in that building with people opening and closing those tables due to the weight of the tables. Again, we've probably have most likely borrowed these, or we've had these for decades at this stage. So we're recommending the replacement of 15 of those tables to go with Tanner Furniture. They do come fully assembled. They'll go ahead and install those in the building for us. And the cost is $21,825.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Move to
So
approve.
moved. Mhm.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. On to the electrical switchgear inspection. Mr. Holtzman.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So the electrical switchgear, this is for all of our buildings. So each building has its own electrical switchgear. This is where all of the main power to the building comes into the building and then is distributed. This equipment has not been inspected and cleaned in quite a long time. I've been here 6 years. I know it hasn't been inspected during that time, that as far as I'm aware of, and I can't tell you how long it was before that time. What this company would do is they would come in and they would use everything from heat guns to visual inspections. They would wear appropriate equipment and they would go through and look at the building at load, meaning when the building is fully utilized, to see if there's any problems or issues with the electrical switchgear. So they're looking for connections. They're making sure that everything is tight, it's working appropriately. If there's any equipment that is getting too hot beyond the standards that they believe should be safe, they would go ahead and put the recommendation in to have that equipment replaced or repaired. We were able to obtain 4 different quotes. I know Mr. Adams talked to the company with the lowest quote because it was significantly lower, but he feels very comfortable that this company would do an excellent job. They are a local company coming out of Dillsburg, so to speak, in terms of local in the general region. So we feel very strongly about using Orbit Technologies to come out and perform this service for the district.
Okay. We have a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Fire panel at the middle school, Mr. Holtzman.
Thank you, ma'am. So if you remember, we did do an expansion of the fire panel system when we added the new wing for the 6th grade to the middle school. However, we did not replace some of the other equipment in the building at the time for fire safety purposes. We've continued to have problems with that existing simplex system. It's quite old, dates probably at least 20 years old, if not older than that. We're continuing to receive nuisance alarms. Over 100 alarms in August alone.
Wow.
I'm sorry, we're getting feedback. I'm not sure if that's me or. So we've received over 100 alone. I do have a note here that says it's at least 25 years old or older. What this would do is it would replace the system that was not replaced with the expansion, install upgraded systems, replace the smoke detectors, the heat detectors, duct detectors, power supplies, and pole stations. The quote does include discarding of the old devices and training on the updated system. And the company that we're recommending is the same company that we use for Fairview and Summit View. If you remember, we received some very favorable pricing for those buildings. I'm not aware of any issues or problems we've had with those buildings. That work was completed last summer.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
Well, I
All right.
think just
I'm
with
sorry.
this one, I think with all the nuisance alarms, you get 100 alarms within a month. that just renders a lot of people, that's a lot of extra time checking things out that really aren't an issue. So I think this really needs to be done.
I appreciate that, Mr. Wingert. And I did not really note in here, but our monitoring company that monitors the alarms is losing a little bit of patience with the system. Obviously, it causes a great number of problems with them. No one likes to see continuous problems and not be resolved.
Well, we don't want to cry wolf too many times before a real problem arises. So.
And Mr. Adams will be very happy if this passes. I know that. So all those in favor then, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Last one on facilities is the HVAC building control system, Mr. Holtzman.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you all. So this item here is the building control system for the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system of the building. We've had a Siemens system in place since that was installed. So we're looking at circa 2007, 8, 9, when the high school was renovated. The unfortunate part is, like a lot of software, it becomes out of date. They're no longer supporting that software here after this year. And so what we need to do is have a recommendation to come forward to change that software, and along with some additional controls. We received 4 different quotes, and they were different types of quotes. So it's not truly an apples to apples comparison. So I can tell you that the high quote was about $345,000, but that would have been a complete replacement of all of the systems in that building for controls and made it truly a completely open system. We did receive other quotes in the $100,000 to $200,000 range, but then we did talk to Siemens, and they had basically 2 options. This is the one option that we were recommending. It doesn't make it completely open system, but it makes the back end more of an open system, so that down the road, if we want to go ahead and integrate automated logic into here, we would have that ability at a future point in time. But based on this new system here, the optic system, we took a look at it with them in person. We reviewed the system. We think it's much more intuitive than the old system. And probably the most important thing to this is we think it probably would carry us through till the next renovation. That might be another 10 years down the road, but this system was just released in 2020, 2021, early 21. So we feel that we certainly has some life to it in terms of a software perspective and also from a utilization perspective. I know Mr. Adams sat down in the presentation as well. I think he felt very comfortable with it. And we're recommending this at $84,300. What's nice about this is that they do not need to take the systems down completely, meaning we don't need to stop using the building while they're making this transition. They can do one area at a time.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I so move.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Any further questions on this item? All those in-
I'll just mention the
I'm sorry,
facilities
go ahead,
committee
Mr. Wang.
saw that this was coming. Mr. Holtzman and Mr. Adams had been relaying to us the ending of this contract. And they have really done, Mr. Adams under guidance with Mr. Holtzman, have really done their homework on a lot of these systems and given us some great options. So I appreciate their thoroughness in checking this out. And this is a move we need to make. So I'm urging that we pass.
I appreciate that, Mr. Wingert. And I know you're not going to say anything, but the facilities committee has been looking at this issue for at least 2 years, if not 3 years. I mean, this certainly is not a quick decision. We've looked at a lot of options, and luckily, I think in a way, I think we found something that, while no one wants to spend money on these items, something that will work for into the future for us.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
All right, there goes the business items. On to financial, Mr. Holtzman.
Yes, ma'am. The only item that we have, well, only items, so to speak, that we have are purchase orders on your list. So we're asking for your approval on the purchase orders listed. And our apologies, the first 2 pages were blank. I think we just had a bit of an issue when we printed those out.
Okay. Motion?
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. Questions on any of those items for Mr. Holtzman? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you again.
All right. Any other Clayton Cabinet comments this evening?
Just one quick one is that I want to wish Mr. McDonald, Mr. Winger, Mrs. Bakewell the best. I know this is your last official meeting. You both have big smiles on, but we appreciate your service and all the time and all the help that you gave us over the last 4 years. And we really appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I would echo that. I was just thinking about Mr. Wenger chairing the facilities committee and all the time Mrs. Bakewell and Mr. McDonald have put on serving on committees. Board member doesn't have to do that, and sometimes people don't, but I really appreciate their contributions in that way, and all that they've done for the board and the kids of our district. So I echo Dr. Klein and say thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
God bless, and I hope we run into you again. Okay, we have no other public comment that I know of, correct? Mrs. Caesar?
Can I just interject, Mrs.
Yep.
Harold?
You sure can.
I just want to recognize well, Officer Gordon, our admin, our teachers, our support staff and learners for quickly responding to an outside emergency situation last week. They did an outstanding job. It was very, very unfortunate and a difficult situation to manage, especially when the middle school was in the process of dismissal. So I want to just, thank them for their professionalism and for, helping keep our students safe in a very, potentially difficult situation. So thank you for those efforts on their part.
Thank you, Dr. Sternheim. Anything else for the good of the order tonight? If not, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Mrs. Harold, do you want to announce that we're going to executive session for personnel?
Yes, we will be doing that right after. Thank you, Dr. Klein.
Sure.
Okay, back for my motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
That's a mutual second from both Mrs. Bakewell and Mr. Wenger. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.